Hey, everyone. I'm Karen Yankovich, and it is Tuesday afternoon. So you know what that means? It is the Women Supporting Women show. And I'm so excited to have my friend Kerry here with us today. I'm going to let Kerry tell you a little bit about her. But Kerry and I connected a couple years ago, and it's been a while since we've talked. So I'm actually looking forward to hearing what she's been doing. And I know she does some amazing things. So Kerry, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everybody first. And then, you know me, I always have something I want to say.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me here, Karen. So I'm Kerry Petsinger, and I'm a mindset and high performance coach. So I help people do work they love and do it well and knock it out of the park, crushing their biggest goals. So I'm really excited to be here and talk with you today.
Yeah. So, a little history on Kerry and I. Kerry and I were kind of masterminding a couple years ago, and it was right when I was kicking off my podcast. And Kerry was the very first guest on the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. Did you know that, Kerry? That you might have known that at the time, but did you realize now that we're at episode 140 or something that you were the first guest?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kerry was our first guest, and what I loved about Kerry was she's so real. And she just had this idea, and she's like, I mean, I got to tell you, Kerry, you're like a dog with a bone. Like you get an idea, you're like, nope, I'm going for it. We're going to make this work. And she just blew up her email list, blew up her program, really went after it and learned how to do things the right way, or learned how to do things in a way that were working for her. And I really wanted to share that kind of like, just jump in and do it trait of yours with everybody. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast so early, because I felt like it was important for people to hear that. You don't have to have, you have to have, I think determination and tenacity is almost more important than all of your training and learning.
Ooh, that's so good. I agree. And the thing about it is that we can get stuck in that training and learning and that research mode. Like I have to learn more. I have to find out more. I need more information. I need more, more information or more confidence, or I need to have this perfect. But the thing about it is imperfect action is what's going to get you to where you want to go. That I can't remember who I heard that phrase from first, but it was imperfect action trumps perfect inaction every single day.
Absolutely.
So yeah, having the courage and the guts and the tenacity and the grit to get out there and launch your stuff and go after your big goals that you have, like that, being an action taker is so incredibly important. And we get stuck there. We'll play small a lot of times because we're like, oh, we need more information. We don't quite know enough, or this isn't quite perfect. But yeah, if we can get out there and take action, and the thing is that's where we gain the clarity and the confidence we're looking for, is by taking action.
Absolutely. I've always been a big proponent of just getting on the phone with your prospects. And I hear so many people say, well, first of all, there's 700 reasons why they can't do it or won't do it or whatever. But then they're like, but I'm not ready. Or should I be doing this? Shouldn't I be charging for that? And my answer is always, there is nothing that's going to help you learn how to be a better coach, consultant, whatever, than doing calls with people. Because no matter how much prep you do, as soon as you start talking to people, you're going to be like, oh, wait, they want light blue. I thought they wanted dark blue, so let me shift this. Right. And you don't know that until you start doing it and talking to people. And how much time are you wasting then maybe creating the perfect thing that you end up having to change anyway once you've actually started implementing it, talking to people?
That is so incredibly true. And I remember when I started first with my coaching business, I had started a blog, and I started writing a blog, and people started reading it and signing up for my little email newsletter. And I got on the phone. I got on the phone with 70 people and was like, who are you? Where are you from? Why are you following along? What is it like? How can I help you? And just diving into talking to them, really actually truly engaging instead of just guessing what they want and need. That's hugely important. And like you said, otherwise you can waste a lot of time at creating things for people that miss the mark. But if you get on the phone with them and find out what is actually going on and build solutions to their problems, that's when you can be really helpful to the people that you're serving.
Yeah. So let's talk about that blog thing you mentioned, because I think that's really how you got started, right? Like well, tell everybody a little bit about your journey. So you went to med school, is that right? Med school or
I
chiropractic?
went to physical therapy school. So I have a doctorate in physical therapy. And then my journey with entrepreneurship was I was stir crazy in my career. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's the coworkers are great, the patients are great, but I felt like there was something more, that there was this kind of tug in my heart to do something a little different. And so I looked at med school, got accepted, decided not to go, decided to build a business instead, and started writing at that point in time about focusing my life on what was important. And the main reason I started blogging about it was for myself. Like I needed to hear it. I needed to work on focusing on what's important, digging into what I really wanted to do with my life, how I could be a really present parent and have a great successful career at the same time, kind of juggling it all. I started writing about that. So again, mostly for myself to find my own path. And then people started following along and reading it. And then eventually it transitioned into doing different coaching. And, I solved my own problem and then started helping other people with it. And now I've coached hundreds of people from around the world on mindset and high performance and doing work they love. So it's been an awesome journey, but it really has been, one imperfect action after another, and just having the mindset of doing something every day that's scary, getting out of your comfort zone and taking action even when you feel like not doing it. That's
Right.
what's got me to, where I am now. And it's been an awesome journey. But that would be my piece of advice for anyone who's watching this. If you're not quite to where you want to go with your career, with your business, is do something out of your comfort zone on a regular basis, because that's where we grow. That's where we rise to that next level of success, or of who we want to be. If we're not playing as big of a game as we want to, we've got to do something different. We either have to take different actions or show up at a whole new level. And both of those things require us to come out of our comfort zone and do the things that scare us. So
Yeah,
it can be
absolutely.
scary.
It is really scary. And but here's the thing, it's scary. It's scary. I mean, but it's almost like a muscle that you have to
Yes.
train, right? To accept the fact that it's just always going to be scary, and you're always going to, it's not like it is a, if you do this, this will always happen. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so that didn't work. What are we going to do now? Like, what should we do? Where do we change it? Because it does work. You just have to find the right like recipe, I guess, to get there. And
Yes.
sometimes you pick a lot of bad cakes until you get the really good one, right? Like, so it's
Yep.
scary and you're going to fail, but then when you don't, man, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
So then your journey to, so the other part of your story that I love too was that when you realized that you really wanted to build an email list, and then you just, like, again, dog with a bone, like you said, I'm going to guest blog, and then you just guest blogged on dozens, maybe more than dozens of places to get your name out there, right? And to get people to know who you were.
Yeah, I'd have to look and count the different places, but yeah, I did guest posting, just like you said,
Yep.
and to work on growing my email list and building it, within those topics that I wanted to talk about, with the doing work you love and the mindset and the performance stuff, and
Yeah.
grew.
Oop. So I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but all of a sudden I can't hear you and you're
Oh,
frozen. Oh, there we go. Now
there
I
you
can see
are.
you. Okay. Yeah.
Woohoo! We're back.
So, okay. So tell us a little bit about your journey from there. So what has been happening in, like, where does that take you? What are you doing now? Like, how are you, I know you're a coach, but how do you support people?
Yeah. So now what I'm doing, I have a new membership program that I just started last month, actually. What I did over the past several years is I have done tons and tons of one-on-one coaching,
Hmm.
and now I'm pivoting to less of the one-on-one, but more of um, the group style, the group coaching and a membership model, so I can have more of a community that I'm serving together, and they can build a community amongst themselves. So
Right.
that's been really fun. I love the one-on-one coaching. I love it all. I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now that's the new thing right now. So I actually have a membership program. It's called Monday Morning Momentum, and it's to start your week off strong every single week. So it's mindset performance coaching on bright and early on Monday mornings, and then we do a Q&A on Thursdays, and it's for mindset training, high performance training, and then accountability and community to reach your biggest goals. So it's been really fun. We've only been doing it for a month so far, but it's super fun. It's a fun, really engaged, active group, and it's fun to see their progress already.
I love that because, when it is scary, what we do need more is that community, right? We need other people doing scary things to
Yes.
kind of help us, help us through it and help us understand that we have support. Because often as entrepreneurs, it's not the people around us that understand what we're doing. They're like, what are you doing? So sometimes having a like-minded group of people is just that alone, but having you at the helm, inspiring mindset and inspiring action is huge because we could get lazy. Let's get real. We can get lazy.
Absolutely, we can, for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, we really need that. We need that accountability. We need that community. It helps us. It helps us on the days that maybe we're struggling mindset wise, or we're
Mhm.
feeling not quite motivated, or obstacles are in our way, whatever. It helps to have that group, and then it helps it helps too. It helps anytime that we're around people who are like-minded or they're thinking bigger than us. It helps us elevate our own thinking too. And when you see someone else doing something that you want to do, it helps you believe that it's possible for you too. So just it elevates your belief, it elevates
Yes.
your thinking, it elevates the way that you show up. And when you have that accountability in that community, I really believe those are the keys to helping us really get what we desire, because the information that we need to have a successful, great life is out there, right? We can search and find anything. I mean, there's
Right,
how
right,
many
right.
millions of books are collecting dust in the libraries, and there's so much information. It is out there. There's tons and tons of information. So what we need isn't necessarily more information. It's being able to execute consistently and show up and take action and have that accountability and community that's going to help you do that and help you rise to the level that you need to rise to get to where you want to go.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I read somewhere, and maybe this even came from you, Kerry, at some point, but it was like if we could just buy a book and do what we needed to do, there would be, I mean, there would be nobody that would be overweight, nobody that would be out of shape, nobody that
Oh,
would have any stress in their life, right?
yeah, I think it was a Derek Sivers. It was like if information was all if more information is what we needed, we would all be billionaires with six-pack abs or something. Like it was
Right,
like
right, right, right. That's right.
all the information we need to get everything we want is out there. We need to know how to execute on that information and how to execute consistently, like how to take action consistently, how to be that high performer.
Right, right, right. Linda is here. She doesn't know how she got here, but we're happy you're here, Linda.
Well, hi, Linda.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I mean, listen, that's why even in my program, I have a hard drive. I have a terabyte probably of content that I have bought over the years, right? And I was determined in my programs not to just give content and information, that people need me,
Yeah.
they need that transformation. They need support along the way. They need hands held. They need some one-on-one. Like the program that I have is now morphed into we do it for you, we do it with you, and DIY. Like there's different pieces that we do it because I feel like, and honestly, of course, when we do it like that, the price point had to go up, but the results are also going up, right? Because it's not just sitting in somebody's hard drive as content, right? So yeah, so I love that. And listen, I absolutely need accountability. And I have, and I do a lot of things to make that happen because
Yep.
I actually just recently I had to get something done and it just wasn't getting done, Kerry. And I literally called my online business manager and I said, I need you to babysit me for 2 hours tomorrow and do this with me. Like, I
Yep.
just need it done. It needs to get done. And I'm just going to pay you for 2 hours to do it with me, mainly because I need a babysitter and I need to
Yep.
know that it's done. Right. And she was amazing and she helped me get it
That's
done. Right.
awesome.
but I was like, it's not going to get done,
Well, and I
so
love, well,
uh,
I think it's awesome too when you realize that too. I've
right,
done that before. I've done that to my husband before. Like, just make me do this thing.
right,
But when you realize too that, hey, right now I just got to do this thing. I just need accountability to make it happen. And when you
yeah,
have the courage to ask for it too,
yeah,
I mean, that's great. We all need
yeah,
accountability. Like,
right,
even the most world class performers in the world have days that they don't quite feel motivated, or they don't quite, they have to struggle with whatever it may be.
right,
So when you have that accountability and those people there that can help you, push you up that next step when you need it, that's
right.
hugely
Yep.
beneficial.
Yep. So you guys can check out Kerry's program at KarenYankovich.com/Kerry, which you guys are seeing scrolling across the bottom here. What else is going on, Kerry? So you have your membership program. Are you still doing one-on-one coaching, or not as much? Or do you
You
still have a
froze.
big, I froze? Okay.
Oh no, now you did.
Is that better?
What did I say? I still have a big what?
No, I was saying, like, what else is going on in your world? So you have the membership program, you do some one-on-one.
I
Do you
do.
still have your program, or are you not doing the bigger program anymore?
I do. Yep, I still have Success That Matters. So Success That Matters is really for people who want they want clarity in a map to get them from where they
Mhm.
are now to really where they want to go. And a lot of times Success That Matters ends up being people who are they're high achievers and they're ready to pivot to something different. So either a different
Right.
career or different business model, but they're at a point where they've reached a certain level of success and they're there, but they're not quite fulfilled. So that's what Success That Matters is for.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, and then Mornings That Matter. So Mornings That Matter is, I do a lot of training with that. So I have a free 5-day challenge. Mornings That Matter, I've run it multiple times since 2017. I've taught it to people from over 70 countries so far. And that
Awesome.
is every single day feeling unstoppable, because the thing about it is when we master our morning, when we can set our day up intentionally, and when we can get that morning started with this strong, powerful mind and get us taking action right away toward our goals, it sets us up. Like, master your morning, and you can master your life. I mean,
Right.
morning routines are so incredibly powerful. So I have that, and then I have a book on that concept that's going to be coming out soon. I'm just finishing
Ooh,
some
that's
parts on that.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm handing over to the editor soon. So I'm really excited about that
That's
too.
very exciting. So let's talk about mornings
Nice.
for me. I actually have a morning challenge. So let's chat about this. I love mornings. I get up early. I set my alarm for 5:30, not because I need an alarm to get me up, just because to me it's that little trigger, because I can wake up at 5:15 or 5:30 and lay in bed for an hour messing around on Facebook, and I really don't want to. Like, I like to get up.
Yep.
I like early. So that alarm is like my nope, it's time to get up. So and I do have a little bit of a routine, but here's my challenge now. I was in a really good routine where I would start work, somewhere around 8 o'clock. I tried to be showered and ready, because in the world we're living in now, first of all, this virtual world, my camera's on all the time, and I want to be
Yeah.
able to turn it on. So I want to be ready for that, and not
Yep.
turning it on because I'm still in my pajamas for the fourth day straight, right? So I have this like routine, but now, and this is a good problem to have. I have I have two people on my team. One is in the UK, and one is even another hour or two actually ahead of her. So I don't, and they're perfectly respectful of my boundaries, right? They'll work to whenever. But I also know, as the CEO of my company, that if they're asking me something, I want to get it back to them, so I'm not holding them up, right? Like, that
Oh, that
they're
makes
not
sense.
waiting on me to complete a task. So now I find myself working, so I find myself like grabbing my phone first thing, seeing if there's anything in Slack that I need to just kind of bang out for anybody that is on the other side of the world. And then,
Yeah.
but it's hard to disconnect from that now. It's harder now. So I'm trying to revamp my morning to embrace that, right? To embrace the fact that that is when my brain is in gear. That is when a good part of my team is working. And, so why am I fighting that with my morning routine, right? So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to realign that. Any ideas for me? What would
Well,
you do?
that really makes sense. And I get what you're saying too, as far as when people are on the other side of the world, like, you want to be able to connect with them when
Right,
they're on and they're engaged with you too.
right.
But yet also to be able to set those boundaries with your time, so that when you're
Hmm.
off, you can feel completely off.
Right.
You know, would you guys have how do you communicate with your team?
Slack.
Slack,
Mostly
and
through
that works.
Slack. Yeah.
And I don't even use. I'm
What
trying
I
to think
love
the
about
last.
Slack is I can set notification hours. So I can say before 8 a.m. or, don't notify me. So I don't get Slack notifications, but of course, this thing's in my hand all the time. So it's easy to pick it up and say, is anything in Slack for me? Right. So it doesn't wake me up and interrupt me, but I proactively check it.
How often would you say when you wake up in the morning, even if like, do you look at your phone and go to Slack and then there's a message that you need to respond to from your team?
I mean, pretty often. I mean, and it's usually not critical things. Obviously, if it's critical, that's different. It's things like, hey, my access to this isn't working, or, let me know about this when you have a chance. So it's probably stuff that could wait.
Okay.
But I don't want it to wait. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the cog in the wheel if people are getting things accomplished. And
That makes
listen,
sense.
I made that choice. And I actually did say, and it just happened that way. I didn't look for people. It just happened that these are the people that I met at the right time, and they had the right qualifications, and it's been amazing. And they're great.
Yeah.
But I did say the next person I hire has got to be on East Coast time. Because it is, I feel bad that I know if they're watching this right now, they're going, stop slacking Karen before 8 a.m. And I don't want them to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then I feel the same way. Like, I want to be able to, if I decide I'm working till 8 o'clock at night, I don't want them looking at their phone and responding. And they often do. Right. So I guess, I don't know. Anyway.
And have you talked about that as a team?
We have, and everybody,
Okay.
and I say, like, don't respond till tomorrow, when they do anyway. And they say, whatever. So we are respectful of it, but yet,
Yeah.
and it starts with me, right? Maybe if I stop doing it, they'll stop doing it.
That's what I was going to say. Yep. I would say, so number one, I would say you set the tone, like you set the
Right.
culture. And if it's like, hey,
Right.
when we're off, we're off. And another thing, one of the things that Tim Ferriss talked about in his 4-Hour Work Week book was giving people the authority to make their own decisions and problem solve up to like, I think he gave an example of like a certain dollar amount. So he was talking about even with like the customer things or product issues, if somebody needed something money wise, or there's something that needed to cost some money, he gave them up to a dollar amount. Like, you solve it on your own. You don't need any of my approval up to this. So I would say, number one, it starts with you. Like, if you want to set the tone, like, hey, when we're off,
That's really good. No, if you're listening, let's pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah. And then number two, I would say, make sure that they really know, like really set some guidelines as far as these are the types of problems that they're empowered to solve, because a lot of times too, when it comes to being like asking questions and that kind of thing, it's a really like a being able to delegate and communicate super effectively that these people do have the authority, or they can be empowered to solve these certain problems. I know that I've been in certain positions in the past where if I'm a consultant as a mindset coach for someone else's program, or if I'm an employee somewhere in the past, like there'll be certain things that it's like, oh, I think I maybe could troubleshoot and figure it out, but I don't quite know if I should, if that's in my
right.
If I have like the authority to do that. So I'm just gonna ask and wait just to make sure that I don't like push out of my boundary, that kind of thing. So I'd say, that yeah. But I know you're such a good, I feel like you're such a good communicator, and that you're probably really open with your team.
Yeah, I am. And what I love about Slack is it feels a little bit like The Office to me. Like, it feels like when somebody's pinging me on Slack for something, they're sticking their head in my office and going, "Can I just ask you a quick question?" Like, so I love that it gives us a sense of community within the people, within the company. And so I guess it's less that and more me thinking, how can I change up my morning routine to be available maybe for an hour, and then get back to, I don't know, because what I do, like, and one of the things I really incorporated into my morning routine, which has been, I don't know, this is going to sound like a little dramatic, but it's truly almost been life-changing for me, is literally reading a chapter of a book every morning. And I have books that I have been waiting to read forever, and now I'm getting through them. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
because I'm doing
awesome.
day. So I don't want to give that up. And I do like to have a little mindfulness and meditation in the mornings. And I have a dog, so I walk the dog, and I want to get like ready for the day, and I want it to be relatively early so that I can turn the kid, because once it gets to be like a little further in the day, it gets less and less likely that I'm going to be
Yep.
camera ready. So I wanted to do that
That,
early.
that
So
makes sense.
so I'm trying to reorganize my morning to incorporate some business, maybe like even say 6 to 7, I'll work,
Well, that's
or
the
even
thing.
6 to 6:30,
Because
you know?
when you have your day normally, do you have a specific time in the morning, or even throughout the whole day? Do you have a set time? Like, this is when I'm on Slack. This is when I'm not. Like, this is when I'm creating. This is when I'm on Slack. This is when I'm
I
client call.
don't.
Or is
Carrie,
it like
in my
goes on
in
like,
pandemic Karen works 7 days a week, and whenever she feels like it, all the time. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I have, and I literally, when I start to put boundaries around, like right now, I'm actually on vacation this week. There's a few things I'm doing like this, and there's a couple other things that I'm doing, but I really have cleared the decks, which has been amazing. Um,
yeah.
so I love that I'm able to do that. I've also been babysitting my grandchildren one day a week, which has been amazing. So I can
Oh,
clear the decks for
fun.
that.
Good for you.
But I've been mostly just, and I do batch my hours and things like that. But honestly, this is
Yep,
such a crazy time right now.
it is.
What the heck else am I doing? I literally will say, I'm going to stop work tonight at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And it'll be like 6:30. And I'm like, well, what do people do at 6:30 that aren't working? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I live by myself. Like, I don't really want to watch TV. What do people do? So, and I
Yeah,
find things, but so I just sit back down and, I don't know,
and work
go
on it.
clean up some email.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it can really help just to set some boundaries on your phone. To have certain times of day
Yeah.
you're checking your phone.
Yeah.
Hi, Lucy. Thanks. But yeah, sometimes it's boundaries and saying, hey, these are the certain times of the day I'm checking my phone. I know that I like function way better when I have these are the set times today I'm checking my phone. These are the set times that I'm checking my email, rather than, oh, it dinged at me. Oh, here's a Facebook notification.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a text. Like, and that whole, because when we get distracted or interrupted like that, it can take us a long time to regain our focus back to
Yeah.
what it already was. Because even if we think we're decent at multitasking, the research shows that we're not. We're actually switch
Yeah. Oh,
tasking,
I agree
kind
with
of going
that.
back and forth,
Yeah.
and yeah, and we lose some productivity there and some energy, and so it can be helpful to set some boundaries on your phone. So maybe that's what it is
Yeah.
looking and saying, okay, I'm gonna be on Slack these times,
Yeah.
um, so that you can
Yeah.
respond to
That's a
your
good
team
idea.
they were letting you respond to your team in a timely manner, and you feel like you're not cogging up, you're not bottlenecking the
Right.
business, but at the same time you're doing your stuff, you're super productive with Slack, and then you turn that off and you go do the next thing.
Right. Right. That's a really good
You
idea.
know,
I can't wait for your book to come out. And it sounds like I and the rest of us all need to get in your membership, because you've got so many great ideas on productivity and accountability and getting things done, so,
thanks. I love
and be,
I love these
yeah.
topics.
So, but KarenYankovich.com/Carrie will get you to her membership. So you got to check that out. I love that. And, I remember one of the things that stuck out for me in the 4 Hour Work Week, which in general, I did not like that book, but there was a few things that I did like about it. And one of them was, and it isn't necessarily about like setting 2 times a day to check your email with all these crazy autoresponders. It was that the world doesn't stop if you don't answer your emails for an hour,
Yes.
and like, so I would literally like, it taught me how to like turn off my email and then
Yeah.
turn it back on in an hour and be like, there's nothing. First of all, I mean, it is really hard to not get me if it's an emergency, between every device that I have,
Right.
right? So, what is it that can't wait an hour that I can literally, because you're right, it is distracting to have things binging at you. Um, so yeah, so that's actually really good advice too.
Well, and
Cool.
I like that point too from the book. But yeah, I think the book for me, I read it, I can't remember how many years ago. It was a long time ago, but it just kind of gets you to think, just like you said, about, hey, the world's not going to stop if you're not by your email for an
Right.
hour.
Exactly.
And you,
Exactly. There's nothing, and it was like kind of like jarring to see like, well, nothing really happened in that hour that they needed me for, right? Like
Yep.
who do I think I am that people need me instantly, right? It's like people, there's nothing that anybody's asking me that's so urgent,
Right.
that it can't wait a half an hour, right?
Right. And like
So
you said, if it is urgent, there's plenty of ways people can get a hold of you. Like if there's something
exactly,
really an emergency, people can find us.
exactly. So when is your book coming out?
Well, I got to finish it. My goal is to finish the content's written. Now I have to go through and kind of edit it and piece a few things together and then hand it over to the editor. So my goal is to get it to the editor by the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we'll just go from there. But that's the
Cool.
next step in the process.
Cool. Maybe we need to be accountable
Yeah.
buddies for that too, because I have a book that I need to get done. I'm
Yay.
hoping to spend the rest of this week, kind of not really like vacation week, kind of just getting my head back into it, because I'm in about the same place that you are with it.
Are you? That's
Yeah,
awesome. What's it
yeah.
about?
Yeah. Well, it's about LinkedIn. It's not really about LinkedIn. It's more about connecting. How do you like virtual net? And actually, it's shifting a little bit, right? Because when I started, it wasn't about virtual networking, but now it's more about virtual networking and using tools like LinkedIn
Cool.
to meet cool people. And how do you meet people? I'm trying to keep it away from technical stuff, because the minute you put something into publish, it will change, right? So it's more about
That makes
the
sense.
process and it doesn't, honestly,
Yes.
my goal in everything I'm doing right now is to really be able to extract LinkedIn out of the process and have the process still work. LinkedIn is the tool we're using to make all
Cool.
of this happen right now, right? But there's other ways to do this stuff. But thankfully, we have LinkedIn, so let's do it the easy way and use that tool. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's other ways to do this as well. So it is definitely a book about LinkedIn and how to use it to build relationships. And really at the heart of it is about going back to basics, going back to relationships, going back, getting out of all the noise of social media and getting back to meeting people and talking to people and, building relationships with people.
Awesome. Well, and it seems like
Yeah.
it's such a relevant topic for right now too. Like
Yes.
that's a very needed thing. Good
Yeah.
for you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's been fun. It's a lot of fun stuff
Yay.
going on. All right, you guys,
Cool.
Kerry, is there so how else can people find you besides checking out KarenYankovich.com/Kerry? How can they find you
So
and all the stuff you do?
yeah, so they can go to my website is www.kerrypetsinger.com. They can find me there and contact me there if they want to. Otherwise, yeah, the main way would be through my website. Main thing.
Awesome. This has been great. This has been so fun to catch up. Thank you for being
Yes.
here. And you guys, if you want to hear more, remember she was episode 2 of my podcast. So KarenYankovich.com/002. And you can listen to, maybe we need to update that. Maybe it's time for an update to that.
Hey, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of mind stuff that we incorporate into the program. So we have a lot to talk about.
That's
Um,
awesome.
cool. All right, Kerry, thanks so
Yeah.
much here. And this is on
Thank
LinkedIn, and
you.
also if you go to LinkedInforWomenCommunity.com, you can join the Facebook group. So LinkedInforWomenCommunity.com gets you in the Facebook group, and these are broadcast live there as well. So Kerry's around if you have any questions. I'm around if you have any questions, and I'll see you back here next week for another show.
Thanks, Karen. Now go have fun on your vacation. Hey.
I know I will. I have one more interview to do tonight, but then I will have fun.
Yay. All right. Thank you.